Okay, I want you to picture a scenario you likely know all too well. It's 2:13 in the morning. Your body is completely exhausted, your eyes are heavy, but your mind? Your mind is running a full-scale military operation. You're lying there, replaying a completely mundane conversation from 3 days ago, practically analyzing every micro-expression. Or maybe you're mapping out this catastrophic worst-case scenario for a meeting you have next Tuesday. You try to tell yourself, just go to sleep, but the thoughts just get louder, they get more insistent, and honestly more creative in their cruelty.
Now, society has a neat little phrase for this, right? We call it overthinking. We're constantly told it's a character flaw, or a sign of weakness, or just this bad habit that we need to discipline our way out of. But the clinical reality actually offers a really profound, scientifically grounded validation. You are not overthinking. You are not broken, and you certainly do not lack emotional control. Blaming yourself for this 2 a.m. mental spiral is essentially fighting the wrong battle against the totally wrong enemy.
So I want to introduce a massive psychological paradigm shift in this explainer. What if your brain is just running a survival program? Think about it. The exact behavior you've been shamed for, the late-night replays, the catastrophic what-ifs, the total inability to switch off, it's actually not a bug in your operating system. It's a feature. It is a highly evolved prediction machine doing exactly what it was designed to do. And the incredible thing is, once you understand the hidden mechanics of this system, you can finally stop fighting it and actually start retraining it.
Let's dive into part 1, the default mode network.
To really understand why we do this, we have to look past the generic self-help advice and look directly at an accidental discovery made back in 2001, a discovery that fundamentally rewrote our understanding of the human mind. Researchers at Washington University put subjects into fMRI machines and told them to do absolutely nothing, just rest. Naturally, they expected the brain scans to basically go dark, but instead, they witnessed an explosion of metabolic energy. A massive, highly interconnected web of brain regions lit up like a Christmas tree the exact millisecond the subjects stopped doing a specific task. They named this background operating system the default mode network, or DMN. As it turns out, your brain is literally never just doing nothing. When you space out, daydream, or lie awake staring at the ceiling at night, your brain is actually running its most energy-intensive program.
You can think of this network, the DMN, as a biological time machine. The very moment you stop focusing on the outside world, it immediately reaches into your past, pulling up old memories and perceived regrets. And then, it aggressively catapults you straight into the future, constructing these incredibly detailed what-if scenarios. It's creating a dynamic, constantly updating simulation of your relationships, your social status, and your possible futures. But here is the crucial takeaway. It doesn't do this to torture you. It does this to keep you safe.
Which brings us to part 2, an ancient survival mismatch. So you might be wondering, why on earth would our brains evolve to constantly simulate danger? Well, this timeline really explains the root of your modern anxiety. 2 million years ago, out on the savannah, the humans who survived weren't the relaxed, easygoing ones. No, they were the paranoid ones who vividly imagined the tiger hiding in the tall grass long before it actually attacked. Fast forward to early tribal human history, and survival meant social cohesion. If you misjudged a social cue and got excluded from your tribe of 50 people, you would literally starve to death alone in the wilderness. Predicting danger meant survival. But look at where we are in the present day. We live in a modern world of infinite, completely unresolvable social metrics. And the clinical reality is pretty wild. Your ancient bodyguard, it hasn't received a software update. Your brain treats a socially ambiguous text message exactly like a physical predator. Your biological threat simulation engine cannot tell the difference between a physical attack in the wild and a passive-aggressive email from your manager. It treats both of them with identical neurological urgency. You are effectively running a Stone Age simulator in a digital world.
Let's look at part 3, the amygdala hijack spiral.
Now, why can't you just simply turn it off? Why does telling yourself to just stop thinking neurologically fail every single time? Well, let's deconstruct this inescapable neural loop. It always starts with an ambiguous trigger. Let's say a friend leaves you on read. Immediately, your amygdala, which is your brain's alarm bell, fires. The DMN instantly boots up a threat simulation to figure out what you did wrong. As this simulation runs, your body starts releasing the stress hormone cortisol. And right here, this is the trap. Cortisol actively suppresses your prefrontal cortex. That's the rational, logical, adult part of your brain. So the very tool you need to logically stop the overthinking is taken completely offline by the stress of the overthinking itself. You literally cannot reason your way out of a threat response. And to understand just how totally dominant this biological process is, consider the metabolic cost.
Your brain represents only about 2% of your total body weight, but it demands roughly 20% of your body's energy. And within the brain, the default mode network uses more energy than any other system. When you are ruminating, your brain is quite literally outcompeting external reality to fund these internal threat simulations. It prioritizes internal brooding over external engagement at a fundamentally physical, metabolic level.
Moving on to Part 4, breaking the neural loop.
Okay, so if we can't use logic to stop the simulation, how do we physically exit this persistent mental threat loop? Well, neuroscience provides a physical override key, and it's called anti-correlation. Your brain basically operates on a neurological seesaw. On one side, you have the default mode network, governing your internal world and threat simulations. On the completely opposite side is the task-positive network, which governs your external engagement and focus. These two networks are mutually exclusive. When one lights up, the other goes dark. You cannot fight the DMN with logic, you must outcompete it by forcing that seesaw to tip.
So here is your actionable, biologically backed guide for daily nervous system regulation. Step 1, down-regulate that cortisol spike. You do this using the physiological sigh. It's a double inhale through the nose, followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. This physically activates the vagus nerve and shuts off the body's physical alarm bell. Second step, shift the task-positive network. Name 5 physical things you can see in the room, 4 things you can physically feel, 3 things you can hear. By flooding your brain with real-time sensory data, you force the task-positive network to come online, essentially starving the threat simulation of its energy. And finally, write down a physical action plan. See, your DMN loops because of unresolved ambiguity. By externalizing the problem onto a piece of paper, you send a clear signal to your brain saying, the threat is logged, you can stand down now.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 5. You are the observer. As we wrap up this explainer, we really need to make a fundamental identity-level reframe. We have to separate who you are from the biological machinery operating inside your skull. Overthinking is not a disease. It's not a sign that you are weak or undisciplined or neurotic. Overthinking is very often just intelligence under threat. I hope you hear the profound scientific absolution in that. You are simply the operator of an extraordinarily sophisticated piece of biological machinery, one that is doing exactly what it evolved to do over millions of years. Your ancient bodyguard is just overprotecting you in a modern world that honestly never stops giving it ambiguous reasons to scan for danger.
Remember this, you are the observer of the simulation. You are not the simulation itself. Your thoughts are not facts. They are just biological suggestions generated by an ancient prediction engine. So the next time you find yourself spiraling at 2 a.m., don't ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Instead, pause and ask yourself, what is my brain trying to protect me from right now? Understand the system, guide it gently back to sensory reality, and watch your greatest source of anxiety actually transform into a psychological tool you finally understand.